Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Friday, March 8th, 2019. Let's review yesterday's games and then cover today's games. And, of course, we'll be back tomorrow, Saturday, at the same time. And what I've been doing is Friday evening. I'm going to try to get them out earlier than I did last week. I've been putting out what I think for the early games on Saturday, because there's some games that start very early. Well, at least for me, I'm out here on the West Coast. So I'll get out that video later today for the early games tomorrow, and then we'll do the decode at the same time. But as always, let's start with a little bit of review. We'll start with the NBA. We only had 2 games in the NBA yesterday. We had the Bucks at home, and the Bucks had a good riddle yesterday. We had 49 date numerology, and Pacers equals 26. They could get their 49th win on the 49 date. They could get their 26th win against the Pacers, and they could stay at 16 losses in Milwaukee. Milwaukee equals 53, the 16th prime. That was the stronger riddle. The one thing that the Pacers had going was it was the 191st series match, which was the 43rd prime number. They did have a chance at the 43rd win. Definitely the weaker riddle. Favored Bucks, but the Bucks were a 10-point favorite. Not a great payout. And it was very probable that they'd win by 10 or more because they'd already beat the Pacers by more than 10 twice this year. Now they've done it 3 times. They've had their numbers seemingly. So the instinct there was right. Just wasn't a great game to bet on. Thunder also had the better riddle for yesterday. Their narrative was giving the Blazers the 26th loss. We've seen that associated with the Thunder. Oklahoma City Thunder equals 101, the 26th prime. We've seen a number of 26 riddles with the Thunder. It doesn't always hit, but we've seen it enough times. Also, the Thunder stayed at 16 away losses against the Trailblazers. Trailblazers equals 53, the 16th prime. The only thing was, were the Trailblazers really going to get swept by the Thunder this year? And they did. The Trailblazers did get swept by the Thunder this year. They went 0-4 against them. The Thunder used to be the Seattle Supersonics. So there's got to be some greater riddle there for why the Thunder swept the Blazers. That doesn't typically happen. But what our instincts told us in the NBA was the way the games went. They were tight riddles, so I didn't think they were worth the gamble. But the instincts were right there. College basketball, not a lot of games yesterday. I thought these games were iffy. Houston was the safest play because they were a considerable favorite. They were at home, and the opponent made sense for the 28th win. SMU's 28. Nothing to write home about. The UCF-Cincinnati game, we had the 22 date numerology. UCF could have stayed on 22 wins. But again, when you're already on the number, it's never as strong of an indicator as if you were going into it. Again, if you were getting your 22nd win or your 22nd loss, it would be a better indicator. The one thing UCF had going for it is UCF equals 12, and this was the 12th series match. Oftentimes we see where the team connects to the series, it goes in their favor. Again, not always, but often. So made that game curious. Had Cincinnati won, they would have got their 26th win. UCF are the Knights. Knights also sums to 101, that 26th prime. And something else that I probably didn't mention yesterday, but now it's dawning on me, is UCF is in Florida. Florida equals 43, the 14th prime. Cincinnati did stay on 14 conference wins. Iowa, Wisconsin. Now, the thing about this game was Wisconsin had a chance at their 21st win, and they got it. Iowa equals 21. But we had the 22 date numerology. Iowa could have got their 22nd win on the 22 date. Had they won, they would have been 11-8 in the Big Ten. And Wisconsin equals 118. So that's why I thought college basketball was probably worth staying away from yesterday for our ranked games. The Army and Navy game, they both had the same possibility. Teams staying at 8 wins in their 19th conference game, if I remember correctly. And between Army and Navy, that pattern, it fell through for one and worked for the other. So it was only 50-50 there. For college basketball, I really only do like looking at the ranked games because they typically follow the patterns we look at. Yesterday was only 2 games. Well, there were 3 games. The obvious one went the way we expected. The tight games, you know, they didn't follow the date numerology pattern, which college basketball typically does. And then in the NHL yesterday, my favorite game did not hit, but a lot of the other ways we were leaning did. So if you took the Panthers on the puck line, you won. The Panthers had a chance to get their 29th win. Bruins equals 29. There was only one number stat to go off of. Obviously, the Panthers didn't win, but they did cover the puck line. So if you took that, you got it. Blue Jackets and Penguins was a tough game to call. We had the 22-date numerology. Penguins could stay at 22 losses, which they did. The problem was the Blue Jackets with a win would have got their 79th points and kept the Penguins at 79 points. And 79 is the 22nd prime, so it made that game iffy. Islanders, Senators, New York equals 39, Islanders equals 38. The Senators had 38 losses. They exited with 39, getting the loss from New York. The Senators, had they won, they would have got 54 points and their 54th series win, but they didn't have the date numerology piece to go with it. That's what was missing. I said if you could find Senators with a 2.5 point puck line, I'd probably take the Senators with the risk. If you found that, you would have won. But otherwise, I thought that was a stay away game just because Islanders weren't a great payout, and it was likely they would give the Senators their 39th loss. Red Wings finally got a win. Yesterday had the very powerful 33 connection. It was the 66th day of the year plus the 156th day of the NHL season. If you write out 33 as a word, it sums to 66 and 156. They stayed at 33 losses against New York. New York 33. So Red Wings, they got it done finally. They were due. The Minnesota Wild, that we talked about why this might be the game where they picked up the 33rd win, because it was in Tampa Bay on this strong 33-day. Tampa Bay equals 137, the 33rd prime. I advised to take the Wild on the puck line because the thing for the Lightning was, even though the Wild had this good chance at 33 on the 33-day, the thing that was scary was the Lightning could have got their 52nd win, and Minnesota does equal 52. That's why Minnesota hosted Super Bowl 52. So that was right there. But yesterday was the 33 date, and we looked, and the Wild would have, if the Wild weren't going to get 33 yesterday, they would have had to wait a lot of games to have their next 33 opponent. They would have had to have probably gone on quite the losing streak. So that was that. Sabres and Blackhawks. The Blackhawks came into this game with 27 wins and 63 points. Buffalo equals 27 and 63. Had the Blackhawks lost, they would have stayed with those wins and points against Buffalo. The Sabres came in with 28 losses. Blackhawks equals 28. And the reason they stayed at 28 is because they lost in overtime. And this is what we talked about. This is the tricky thing about the NHL. The Blackhawks had a chance to get their 28th win at home, which they did. The Sabres, they could have stayed on 28 losses, or they could have lost in overtime, and then that stat wouldn't move. So that's the way it ended up going. Dallas Stars equals 27. The most straightforward narrative was the Avalanche getting their 27th loss against the Dallas Stars. That happened. The one thing the Avalanche had a possibility at was the 30th win in Dallas. Dallas does equal 113, the 30th prime. But like I said yesterday, it's usually just the more straightforward narrative. Dallas Stars 27, 27th loss. That's more likely than the prime number relationship riddle. Canucks Oilers, there wasn't much of a read to go off of here. The only thing I said is Oilers equals 33. If they were 30 and 30, that kind of looks like 33. But I don't like making calls like that. To me, it's a little bit too abstract. So the other thing that's dawning on me that I actually did mention yesterday at the beginning, but I think I forgot to mention when we were looking at these NHL games, when you write out 28 as a word, it also sums to 156. And I'm just seeing how the 28s are sticking out. 28's 156, like 33. Coyotes, Flames. I think we have a good read on these teams going forward now. This game, it became iffy. The Flames could have got their 42nd win. Arizona equals 42. They could have got their 91st points. Phoenix equals 91, but we pointed out that their next opponent is the Vegas Golden Knights, and Vegas Golden Knights equals 89. So there was some rhyme and reason to them going into the next game with 89 points. Plus, yesterday had the Super 33 connection. Coyotes equals 33. They're on the 33rd parallel, and they were able to get that 33rd win. Blues Kings. I thought the Kings were a good pick yesterday, and they got beat 4-0. So I was wrong about that, obviously. But the reason that I like the Kings was that St. Louis equals 25. Could have got the 25th win. The Blues' next opponent, they had which is the Sharks. Sharks equals 76. I thought they'd go and face the Sharks with 76 points. And what was the one other thing? There was one other thing. Maybe it was the series record. I think the Kings had something in the series record too. There were a number of things that looked good for the Kings. Perhaps it was the Kings were going to get the let me just check what it was real quick. Kings, I think they were going for their 79th series. Was it them? Yeah, the Kings were going for their 79th series win, which is the 22nd prime on the 22 date numerology. So I noticed 2 days in a row I said my favorite pick didn't hit, and I normally don't say that. I'm not going to say what my favorite pick is today, just in case I'm being effed with. But Kings looked good to me yesterday. So that was the surprise. That was the surprise. Sharks, they looked good on the initial take. Again, Canadians equaled 173, the 40th prime. Get that 40th win. It was the 40th series matchup. There wasn't anything that really lined up for the Canadians at all. But then I just looked ahead at the Sharks, and I said, oh, their next game's the St. Louis Blues, and St. Louis Blues equals 39. So could they stay on 39 wins? And, we were just trying to go the extra mile and be extra cautious, but seeing the next opponent did take me off my confidence that I had at first with the Sharks getting 40. So anyway, the favorite pick didn't hit, but a lot of the other recommendations did. I hope you guys took me up on some of those other recommendations, because all in all, it wasn't a bad day in the NHL again. The NHL's been very good to us overwhelmingly. So let's do the NBA, college basketball, NHL. Let's do it again. Let's have a better day than yesterday, and let's again start with our date numerology. Here, let me close some of these windows here. Okay, so it's March 8th. March 8th. The thing to think about there is the date can be written 8/3. I always, in the morning, I like to just start decoding news stories and seeing what numbers are just popping up in the story. Because usually, again, that's the way I figured this out originally. I didn't start out decoding sports. I started out decoding news. And then I just observed, like, ESPN and beyond, like, what in the world? I'm seeing all the same numbers I talked about today in the news stories. And then just after observing that again and again and again and again, I was like, oh my God, they're scripting the sports this way too. And that really blew my mind at the time when the light bulb went off. But I still do the same thing. I like to look at the news stories in the morning, and I was noticing 83 was popping up, just quickly looking at stories. 83, 83, 83. Today is March 8th, 8-3. And 83 is the 23rd prime number. So maybe we want to think about 23 today, because we have the 23 date numerology too. Could be a big number today. In the NBA, it's the 144th day of the NBA season. I don't know if like the number relationships are actually helping me out. It seems like a lot of times, like the other day, the thing that I was going with the Lakers was it was the 142nd day, and the relationship with 42 and 142. Obviously, that didn't help. The prime number relationships with the day in the season have mattered. Yesterday in the NHL, it was the 66th day of the season plus the 156th day. Both of those numbers have a relationship with 33. So 33 was big. I think in scenarios like that, it makes sense. part of me wants to say, okay, 144 has a square root of 12. We know the relationship with 12 and 144. Is 12 going to matter today? We know that when we write out 44 as a word, it sums to 144. Do we want to look at 44 today? Or is that going to take us off the primary path, which is the date numerology, which is usually what's pretty consistent? In the NHL, it is the 157th day of the season, which is the 37th prime. And the prime number relationships do seem to always matter. Also, with regard to it today being the 23 day, 23 is the 9th prime. That's been mattering. Unfortunately, college basketball tomorrow is not going to have the prime number relationship. I love when the Saturdays in college basketball have the prime numbers because they've been awesome patterns. Or not just even on Saturday, just every day, but Saturday's just got so many, games. And with the consistent patterns, it's been really good when the primes line up that way. So anyway, date numerology, we're really looking at 50 and 23. Again, today can be written 8/3, like 83, the 23rd prime. The lesser date numerology that might matter is 30, might matter in the series records. It's also the 67th day of the year, which is the 19th prime. So that's going to be another number that could come up today. 67th day, 19th prime. But here's our date numerology that really matters, 50 and 23, and then the relationship with 23 and 9. If we do see a 44 in the NBA, it's something to think about. But again, just 2 days ago, threw us off course there with the Lakers game, or at least threw me off course. All right, Wizards, Hornets. Wizards, Hornets. First game up. Hornets has that connection to 36. They could get their 36th loss at home. The date is 3/8. The Wizards, their next loss is 38. Unfortunately, let's run the Gematria. I don't think that these numbers... Wizards. Washington. Washington's 50. Wizards. Washington Wizards has a lot of connections to 50. Washington's 50, and then Washington Wizards 229, the 50th prime. Today has that 50 date numerology. Let's see. Sure. Hornets 231, the 21st triangular. They have a shot at their 21st home win. Let's see here. 113th game. That's the 30th prime. Is there any 30s on the board? The Hornets can get that 30th win in the 113th series game. That would give the Hornets their 61st win in the series. That's the 18th prime. I don't see an 18 on the board. Check the stadium real quick. Spectrum. Center. Again, that's not a perfect pattern where the series game has the prime number relationship. I mean, like yesterday, that was the one riddle the Pacers had. It didn't hit. But I'm not seeing anything else that that screams out about this game. Let me see real quick. These teams are in the same conference. Let's just take a peek at the conference. Yesterday, the conference game between the Blazers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Blazers, they could fall to 4-9 in the division, or excuse me, it was a division match. They could fall to 4-9 in the division on the 49-date numerology. That was one other thing going in Oklahoma City's favor. So the Wizards and Hornets are in the same division. The Wizards could fall to 6-7 on the 67th day of the year. It's kind of interesting. The only other thing, though, about that is North Carolina is 67, actually. Never mind, take that back. Could fall to 6-7 in North Carolina as well. The Hornets would get their 23rd conference win on the 23 date. Of course, they got Michael Jordan right there, Mr. 23. So I do think Charlotte has the better riddle here. I think they do have the better riddle. So I give the edge to Charlotte there based on the numbers. It's not a powerful pick, but they seem to have the better numbers. Okay, Magic. They're playing. This is going to be their 67th game of the season. Was that true here for these teams? No. For the Magic, it's their 67th game on the 67th day. Mavericks is 61, the 18th prime. They can get that 18th home win. Let's see. Nothing else screaming out there. Mavericks, Magic, head-to-head. All right, so this will be the 61st game, the 18th prime. Magic can get the 18th home win. Magic are going for the 27th win. Mavericks are going for the 35th. Mavericks have been pretty atrocious on the road. Let's see. Dallas is 113, the 30th prime. That would be the Dallas argument, just keeping the Magic at 30 wins. Mavericks. Mavericks is 61 as well. It is the 61st series game. Makes it a little bit iffy. Let's see. The game is in Florida. That's something to consider because Florida has the 38 connection. Mavericks could get their 38th loss in Florida. Let's see here, non-conference real quick. Orlando's fighting for a playoff spot. So they're 9-17. They're 9-17 outside of the conference. Their next non-conference loss is 18. Dallas is 13-13. Dallas is 13-13 outside of the conference. Huh. I do think the Magic have the better riddle here. It is the 61st series game, and Mavericks does equal 61. It's not always, it's not always a indicator that this team will win. Because 61 is the 18th prime, I'm just seeing that 18th home win. That's the 118 popping out on the board. And the 38th loss in Florida makes a little bit of sense too, especially on March 8th, 3-8. So not crazy about that game, but I would give the edge to the Magic there. Probably the best riddle for the Mavericks is keeping the Magic at 30 because Dallas is 113, the 30th prime. But okay, so what stands out right away here is we have the 50-date numerology. The Cavs can get their 50th loss on the 50-date. That would keep them at 16 wins. Heat equals 16. So you have some rhyme and reason there. The only scare for the Heat is they could get their 19th home loss on the 67th day of the year. 67 is the 19th prime. But that date numerology, again, it does seem that the date numerology is becoming more and more consistent with the NBA this week, and ever since the All-Star break, it's been a lot more consistent than what we were seeing for those few weeks before the All-Star break. Okay. Heat, Cavs, these are LeBron teams. Be something to think about with LeBron James here. 112th game. The Heat have swept the Cavs this year. The Heat can get their 67th win on the 67th day of the year. That stands out. The only symbolism I could see in the Heat losing is just the 35 because King James is 35. But whoops. The 50th loss on the 50-date numerology and staying at 16 wins against the Heat 16. That's the best riddle. And the fact that the Heat can get the 67th series win on the 67th day of the year, I think that upsets the risk of the 19th home loss. So Heat got the better riddle. 8-point favorite, huh? So the only thing that just scared me in the back of my mind is just that King James is 35, and if the Cavs won, they'd be 1-3 against the Heat, like how King James became a king at 13 months of age, like how LeBron won the finals with the Cavs in his 13th season on the real King James's birthday. But even with that fear, I still think the better riddle's the date numerology and staying at 16 wins. Okay, Pistons, Bulls. Bulls, man. They've been playing games lately. Let's see. Okay, nothing screaming out about the date. Bulls equals 12. If the Pistons got upset, they'd stay at 12 away wins. They'd also get their 19th loss, 67th day of the year, the 19th prime. The Bulls come in with 19 wins. It's also the Bulls' 67th game. If the Bulls lost, they'd stay at 19 wins and 8 home wins, 19 the 8th prime. So that makes that a little dicey here. Let's see. These teams in the same division? Yes. What's the division standings here? Bulls are 3-11. Pistons are 6-5. They can get their 23rd conference win. Bulls. All right. $261st game. Pistons going for 132nd win. That's or excuse me, yeah, 132nd win. Bulls going for 130. Detroit has 32 wins right now. 131 is the 32nd prime. If they lost, they'd stay at 131 wins and 32 series wins. Just want to see who the Pistons' next game's against. Okay, they play back-to-back game with the Bulls. The other thing about Bulls is Bulls does equal 33. Bulls has Gematria of 33 as well as 12. They have those 12 away wins, but their next win is their 33rd. March 10th, that's 2 days from today. It's the 69th day of the year. Huh. All right. The Nets. Let's think about. Okay. Here's a thought. So the Pistons' next away game is the Nets. The next away game is the Nets. Let's just see what their head-to-head is real quick. My thought is that the Pistons' next away win is the 13th, and that's a big number with the Nets. The Nets equal 13. And Brooklyn's 41, the 13th prime. Pistons have done historically well against the Nets. They've split their series this year. So my guess is the Pistons do get their 33rd win against the Bulls, but is it in this game or is it in the next game, which is at home? And the reason to think it might be at home is because they can get that 13th away win against the Nets, a great team to get it against. I think Nets is also 23. Damn. Is there a reason to even it up at Detroit? Chicago's also 37, the 12th prime. Their next game is the next game's on the 69th day of the year. Bulls is 69 and 33. Oh. The good news is whatever happens in this game, I think we get a free pick next game with the Pistons and Bulls. You know, if the Pistons won this one, I think the Bulls take the next one. But I imagine the Pistons exit this back-to-back with 33 wins against the Bulls. What's just killing me here about picking the Bulls in this game is just the fact that this is going to be their 67th game, which is the 19th prime, and they're already at 19 wins and 8 home wins. The prime number relationship, it doesn't always hit, but man, it hits more often than not. So it's like picking against the average. Ugh. It does make sense to stay on 12, though, in Chicago for the away wins. And today's also a great day for the 19th away loss. Denham's saying they could also stay on 13 against the Nets if they won today, which is a very fair point. So that is a good point, Denham. If the Pistons won today, they could stay on 13 against the Nets. Absolutely true. A part of me just wants to be conservative here and say maybe just watch this one because we got the riddle either way and then get the free pick in the next game. Pretty sure next game will be a free pick. But the gung-ho strategy as well, take a shot at it today. If you're wrong, we'll get it back next time. So there is a problem here, though. It's the 19 thing. 67th day of the year, 19th prime. It's the Bulls' 67th game. 19 could really make sense either way here. It's the Pistons' 31st away game. Pistons is 31. All right, let's go to the next game. 76ers, Rockets. Okay. 76ers has that gematria of 39 and 42. I'm just seeing the win records could be 42 and 39 if the 76ers. Didn't these teams just play each other? Making that up. I feel like they just matched up. What's up, man?
Yeah, I like the Pistons.
What gives them the edge to you? What's the edge you see for the Pistons?
Because 33.
Wait, you're quiet. You're really quiet. Your connection. Did you say because Bulls equal 33?
And Sunday equals 33.
Well, they play today and Sunday.
Yeah, remember, Zach, they walk in 9 times out of 10.
No, it's not 9 times out of 10.
I'm not saying it like that, man. I'm not trying to compete. I'm just saying.
Okay, so you're thinking they're going to rematch again with 33. And then the Bulls take it on that day in Detroit?
Yeah, but it's all about the date, Sunday. So they're gonna walk in with 33 wins.
On Sunday.
On Sunday.
Okay. Okay, well, you could be right. I mean, the riddle's there, but man, I just I hate the fact that the Pistons can pick up their 19th away loss today on the 67th day of the year and stay at 12 against the Bulls.
Yeah, and I like Orlando because Orlando's 27th state too. You didn't mention that either.
Florida's the 27th state?
Yeah.
Okay, so Mavericks stay on 27 wins and then pick up the 38th loss in Florida where Florida's 38? That's interesting. And they'd get their 27th away loss too, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good observation.
All right, man. I'm just a keen listener.
All right. Appreciate it. He's real big on the walk-in thing. And a lot of times they do walk in, but I cannot agree with the 90% ratio. I think that's more of a 50-50 thing. So... All right. Yeah, I think this Pistons-Bulls game is dangerous again, and you know why. All right, so 76ers-Rockets. I guess they didn't just play each other. I was thinking they did, but that's not true. This will be the last meeting this year. I want to see what happened in the last one. I said recently I'm really not liking picking Rockets games. It seems like when things line up for them, they lose. When things don't, they win. It's like whatever I see, I almost just want to say the opposite. Okay, so Rockets going for the 73rd win. 76ers going for the 71st, 143rd game. Just the one thing that's jumping out is 76ers has that gematria of 42 and 39. I'm just wondering if both teams could have those win totals at the end of the night. Rockets can get the 23rd win. Okay. Well, that's looking like the more likely thing right there. 23-8 numerology. Rockets can be 23-9, 23-9, prime number relationships, numbers we see together all the time. This game's on ESPN. So the Rockets, they'd be going for their 73rd. Does that have any relationship with today? What happened in the last game? January 21st. So that was 46 days ago. The Rockets lost at Philadelphia by 29. Okay, the only riddle I could say against the Rockets is that Philadelphia equals 101, the 26 prime. They could get their 26 loss. And again, there's that 42 and 39 thing. 76ers Gematria 42-39. And again, when you put in the 76, it shouldn't affect the numbers here, but Derek changed his calculator. Numbers aren't supposed to count. I mean, you can add them in, and I do think sometimes it's interesting, but the value of 76ers should be like this. So date numerology says Houston. Houston's been a real ball breaker. Even though they have, I'm still going to say I'm giving the Rockets the edge because the date numerology is there and it seems to be getting back on track. But the one riddle that does stand out for the Rockets is potentially getting that 26th loss. So this is the Rockets' 65th game, Philadelphia 65. I'm not missing something with the records here. Houston Rockets 59, the 17th prime. 76ers have a chance at their 17th away win, but I'm going to stick with the date numerology. Again, like we talked about, today it can also be like 8/3, like 83, the 23rd prime. So I'm thinking that 23 prevails. Warriors and 76ers, both ESPN games tonight. Okay, we're going to think about that too. All right. Yeah, good point there, Dakota. Rockets going for 7th win in a row. Good catch, Izzy. I wish that was yesterday because yesterday was the 7 date, 49 date numerology on the 7th, 49 the square root of 7. But you know what? When you add 1 through 7, it equals 28, and Rockets is 28. So there's a relationship with 7 in the team. So that is there. That makes some sense. And maybe that's why the Rockets have surprised us in some of these recent games because it was more about this deeper riddle. I guess that would make them 8-3 in their last 11 too, huh? I mean, it's really the last 10, but that would make them 8-3. Well, is it possible that it could not be? Yeah, no, it would be 8-3 in the last 11. Okay, I got to go with the Rockets. That 7-game winning streak's a good tip too, because that makes some sense. Rockets 28, add 1 through 7, 28. I think 23 is the number today. Okay, Jazz, another team I don't like. They did get that 36th series win on, was it March 6th? Yeah, it was March 6th on 3-6. Okay. Grizzlies have that 59 connection, the 17th prime. Grizzlies 59, the 17th prime. I see they could even it up at 17-17. What's up, man?
Yeah. Hey, you see the hidden ESPN riddle?
For tonight's game?
Yeah, with the Rockets.
So we got Rockets and Nuggets. Well, as the we got 76ers and Nuggets as the away team, and Rockets and Warriors as the home team.
Oh, I said, do you see the riddle with the Rockets? The hidden number, the 18.
Is it in the conference standings?
Remember the out of conference.
Okay, let's see. Out of conference. So Rockets are 17, so they can get their 18th non-conference win.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a good observation too. All right, yeah, good work, man.
Yep, all right.
Take care. All right, so plus Rockets can get the 18th non-conference win on ESPN, which is a network that sure likes its 18s. So yeah, got to definitely lead with the Rockets there. All right, Jazz Grizzlies. So again, Grizzlies is 59, the 17th prime. I'm just seeing they could even it up at 17-17. The 17 could go either way for the Jazz. Is Memphis 38? Yeah, it is. Memphis is 38. Okay, so there's the riddle for the Jazz. The Jazz riddle is to pick up the 38th win in Memphis. Memphis 38 on this date, 3-8. So that's hard to overlook. And they could also get the 17th away win. You know, 17 can go either way for the Jazz. Memphis Grizzlies. Grizzlies got that 83 thing. Let me look at the conference standings here. Jazz are on 23 conference. What's up, caller?
Hey, Zach, this is Dano. I was looking at the trying to find a riddle for the primetime games to connect them.
Okay.
And I noticed that if the Rockets and the Warriors win, it's a good chance that we might see them again in the Western Conference Finals. Maybe.
I think it's very possible.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a rematch coming up. If you look at the day the Western Conference Finals start, it starts on May 14th, right? 5/14.
Okay.
And that's 67 days. That's 67 days from now.
Right. That's the 134th
day of the year.
Right.
So I think that's a possible connection if we see the Warriors and the Rockets both win. I just wanted to mention that to you.
Okay. Well, you and I'm starting to think that is what the Western Conference Finals are going to be. So, all right.
Yep,
Great observation.
Days from now it starts. Gotcha.
Great observation. Thanks, Denham.
All right.
Bye. Okay. So all right. So the Jazz narrative so far is they can get their 38th win. Memphis, 38. It's 3/8 the date. The Grizzlies, though, I'm just wondering if they could even it up at 17-17. Let's see what it is between these teams. Shoot. '88th game. Jazz going for the 57th. Memphis going for the 32nd. Those numbers don't go so much. The Jazz have struggled against the Grizzlies. Lost their first two, but then, that's interesting. They lost both at home, but then they won at Memphis. That's weird. Let's just see how many days it was from the last game. Sometimes that's a clue. $116 days or a span of 117. I noticed that the Jazz were at 23 conference wins, which might be the magic number today. Again, 8/3 like 83, the 23rd prime, 23 date numerology. Memphis is 83. Memphis Grizzlies is 83. Could they stay on 23 conference wins? I don't think these teams are in the same division. Yeah, they're not. Memphis is at 23 conference losses, too. Look at that. They could get their 19th conference win on the 67th day of the year, 67, the 19th prime. Now, as I'm looking at this, again, we've seen immediate season records trump conference records again and again. So it's not always good to lead with the conference. I think just based on what I'm seeing is I don't like this game. There's a straight up riddle for the Jazz to win to get the 38th in Memphis on this date. That makes perfect sense. But there's also, I mean, it's not to say that the conference records don't matter. It's just that they usually don't prevail over the immediate season records. That's what I've noticed doing this day after day. And there is a little bit of a reason to think the Grizzlies could even it up at 17-17. So I think Utah probably is more likely to get that 38th win, but the conference records, which usually don't trump the immediate season record, the conference record was favorable for the Grizzlies. Jazz could stay at 23 on this date against a perfect opponent, and the Grizzlies could stay. The Jazz could stay at 23 wins in the conference. The Grizzlies could stay at 23 losses. And they'd also get the 19th win, and it's a fitting day for that. So make sure there's not something I'm missing there. Utah Jazz. Yeah, I just think it's and the Jazz, again, they've just been this team where even when things line up a certain way and it looks good for one team or them, it's like it doesn't hit. So I'm not going to continue to repeat myself and make the same mistakes. The Jazz just don't seem to be a good team for reads. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Zach? Hey, I know you're doing NBA and doing the picks live. Are you going to be doing the championship, the conference championships picks and stuff, like figuring out who's going to try to win, like the Atlantic Coast Conference and stuff?
Oh, for college basketball,
right?
Yeah, that's something we can do when those roll around.
I'll tell you why. You mentioned something about Virginia today, saying they're probably not going to lose till whatever. But if they don't lose to the tournament, that means they have to win the ACC tournament.
Right. That's a good point. Well, okay, so I said it's going to be a symbolic loss, so that is something to look at. I mean, that could be a symbolic loss right there in the conference tournament. So we're going to keep evaluating.
I'm thinking they're going to win the ACC, and they are going to lose something. It looks like to me that they're going to win the ACC and then lose in the tournament at some level. I don't know where. So that means they keep Duke from winning the ACC.
It's very possible. So,
and you guys, anybody who's a listener there, you got to look up there's a meme going around on YouTube. It's Michael Jordan and Kobe make fun of LeBron parody. It is so funny how they try to say that LeBron's the GOAT, and he's like, well, he's 3-6 in the finals. They're making fun of him. And then he goes, and LeBron's his hairline travels more than James Harden, back more than James Harden. So
where is that on ESPN? Where's that at?
No, it's on YouTube. You just have to do a search. Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant make fun of LeBron James.
Okay, check it out.
It is so funny.
All right.
It's Kobe and Michael talking about how they never lost in the finals, and LeBron's 3-6, and he's not the GOAT, and all, it's all kinds of. It's really funny. It just fits in with them, the shaming of LeBron. Like he went to the Lakers and they stink, and now he went to the Lakers and they still stink.
Right. Yeah.
But I was just curious if you're doing the ACC, you break down the tournaments because I do think Virginia's going to win the ACC tournament just based on some stuff. And then one other thing I hear them talking a lot about is Portland.
Portland?
Mention it.
What do you hear them saying?
Portland, the Trailblazers are going to do well in the playoffs.
Okay.
I think they kind of just make them lose, and then now all of a sudden they're going to be a factor in the playoffs. It's something I heard a lot of Portland talk lately. I'm like, what's that all about? They can't even beat the Thunder?
Sure. Well, last year they choked in the first round against the Pelicans, if I remember right.
And it looks like to me that they have to make the Celtics start playing good because then their odds would be too high if they were playing bad going into the playoffs.
Right, exactly. And I think that's going to happen as well.
And then the opposite with Duke. Duke had to start coming off their pedestal, but yet the odds for Duke haven't really moved much.
Right. They just want to take bettors off it. They want to take people off it. So
it seems like that would be the way because I looked at their odds now and it hasn't really changed. And they played. They almost lost to Wake Forest. I mean that game was
North Carolina schools.
Right. So it was kind of like, wait a second. Now Duke's playing so crappy, but their odds don't change that much.
Right.
But that would tell me like, okay, let's not everybody take Duke because they had them, flying high, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Just a thought on that in the ACC. But have everybody look at it says Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant make fun of LeBron James parody. It is priceless.
I will check it out. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, man. Okay, so Raptors Pelicans. Next game. What stands out right away here is the 19s on the board. Again, 67th day of the year, 19th prime. The one team that can get a 19 is the Pelicans. They could get their 19th home win, be quite the upset. Raptors have been losing some games that you wouldn't expect them to. Thing is, Raptors could stay at 19 losses or 19 away wins. Let's see what's going on between these teams. Pelicans, Raptors head to head. 37th game, the 12th prime. Raptors going for their 23rd series win on this very 23 date. 23 seems to be the number of the day. So that's making me think the Raptors very well could get that 23rd series win. Let's see who these teams play next. Raptors play the Heat next. Let's think about that. Heat equals 20. Heat has that 20 connection. So they could go in with 20, or they could get the 20th against the Heat. I think if the Raptors lost this game, they'd definitely get that 20th against the Heat. And then the Cavs. What kind of road trip are they on right now? Okay, the Raptors. All right. First game of the road trip. 1, 2, 3. 3-game road trip. So, okay, they play Cleveland, right? They play Cleveland. Cleveland's the 48th city. So great team to get the 48th win against. So that has me thinking the Raptors are going to win 2 of these 3 games. They're going to win 2 or 3 here. Which one do they lose? They're winning this game. So that means we got to pick between this. Which one are they winning and which one are they losing here? I think that's the way it is. Picks Money would say, no, they're going to win both and go into Cleveland with 48. Which is possible. That also happens, but I think it's more likely that they get that 48th win over Cleveland. So, Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh is Raptors Heat. That's the Chris Bosh riddle there. Heat has that 20 connection. So if the Raptors won this game tonight, they'd have 20 away wins, and they could go into Miami and lose and stay at 20 away wins and pick up their 20th loss. I think that makes some sense. And then they play Cleveland, and then they get the 48th win. I think that has some rhyme and reason to it. Let me see something else. Pelicans is 47. Yeah, that just came into my mind. I was like, is Pelicans 47? So they can get the 47th win over the Pelicans. That'd put the Pelicans at 38 losses on 3-8. Yeah, I'm thinking that's the riddle that makes the most sense. Because the 19s can go either way. Raptors get that 23rd series win. Seems to be the most powerful number today. So I'm going to say I like the Raptors there. Pelicans 47th win, and then I think that sets them up for a loss against the Heat and then a win against Cleveland. Let's see who the Pelicans play next real quick. And sometimes looking ahead, it can trip you up like it did yesterday with the Canadian Sharks game. They got the Hawks next, and then the Bucks. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think the Raptors do have the better narrative there. I think they do. All right, Nuggets Warriors, second game of the TNT doubleheader. I saw in the chat people were pointing out that Colorado equals 38. Colorado's the 38th state. Today's the 3-8. Could that be favorable to them? Well, here's something to think about yesterday. Portland equals 37. So does Los Angeles. How did those teams do yesterday? Portland and Los Angeles both lost on 3-7. So I wouldn't say that gives the Nuggets an advantage. What does stand out, though, is that the Warriors are at 23 wins, that magic number. They're also at 9 losses, which relates to the date, too, because 23 is the 9th prime. Oakland, the game's in Oakland. Oakland's 22. They could get the 22nd loss there. Let's see what the head-to-head is here. believe these teams are not in the same division. Okay, same conference, not the same division. 175th game, Warriors going for number 80, Nuggets going for 96. Let's just look at the conference too. Warriors can get the 27th conference or 13th loss. Nuggets can get 29 or 14th loss. Okay. 32nd game, 33rd game for the Warriors. Golden State. Warriors. Denver. Nuggets. Let's look at what they've done recently. Are these teams going to play again? Is this the last game here? Warriors, Nuggets schedule. Got one more game, April 2nd. That's the 92nd day of the year. Okay, so they split so far. The Warriors lost at the Nuggets and they won at the Nuggets. God, they killed them last time. That was 52 days ago. So they barely lost and they killed them. Steph Curry, his birthday is coming up. 6 days, March 14th birthday. Let's see who the Warriors play next. They play the Suns. Phoenix is 46. So if the Warriors win tonight, they can get their 46th win over Phoenix. Phoenix is 46. And then they play Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas is also 46. So I am thinking the Warriors win tonight so that they can get the 46th win against Phoenix. That makes sense to me. Okay, so I'm taking the Warriors. That's the riddle I like there. And then the Nuggets would get their 22nd loss in Oakland. Oakland's 22, so that makes some sense too. What's on their court? The Town, is that what's written? The Town. That's also 33. They could fall to 16 and 16. So yeah, I'm taking the Warriors so they can get the 46th win over Phoenix. Okay, Thunder, Clippers. So LA's 41, right? So Thunder could pick up their 41st win in LA. They'd get their 19th win on the 67th day of the year. 67, the 19th prime. They'd stay at 16 away losses. Los Angeles is 53, the 16th prime. So all that's making sense to me. But look here, Clippers can get the 19th home win. They could also get the 38th win on 3-8. 214th game, Oklahoma City at 137, Clippers at 76. I think Oklahoma is 76. Is. Okay. Let me come back and look at it. Are these teams in the same division? No. What's the conference here? Oklahoma City's at 19 conference losses. Could they stay there on the 67th day of the year? Clippers, their numbers aren't as interesting. So 2 19s could go in favor of Oklahoma City, but one could still go in favor of the Clippers. Oklahoma City. There. Series match was this? 214. Who won the last one? LA is the 213 area code. LA didn't win in the 213, huh? Oklahoma City. So Oklahoma City's lost one and won the last two. They did lose in LA. Just see how many days it was from the loss in LA. That was October 19th. $140 days, or a span of 141. It's 20 weeks. Let me check one more thing. Under Clippers. Angeles. Damn. Well, this one's tight. I think what makes a little bit more sense is the Thunder winning. I think it makes a little bit. Here, let's look at their next game too. I think the Thunder, though, just on the surface, have a little bit better riddle. They play Utah next. I think makes sense there. Utah Jazz. They play them on March 11th. Utah Jazz is 11-3. But I don't see anything that's really screaming out about that. I guess if they face the Jazz, Jazz has that strong 18 connection. They could face the Jazz with 18. Or no. Yeah, they'd have to lose this game, though. The Thunder would have to lose this game to face the Jazz with 18 away wins. So that's the only thing I could think of. I guess that would be one riddle for the Clippers corner. Who do the Clippers play next? Clippers play the Celtics next. Okay. I don't think I see the riddle there with the Clippers and Celtics. '71, the 20th prime. They could potentially get their 20th home win if they won this game. Boston and Celtics. I'd probably just lay low on this game. I think I would lay low. It worries me a little bit that the Thunder could go into Utah with 18 away wins. And if they lost that game, they could be 18-18 against the team that has the double 18 connection. Because again, we've seen it so many times. The team has more riddles. It looks better for them. They got more riddles. It only took one riddle for the other team. Clippers could easily pick up their 19th home win. And we'd be saying, well, look at that. They got their 38th win on 3/8, 19th on the 67th day of the year. I mean, it could just be that. So, but there's an argument there for the Thunder like we started with. Okay, so NBA, we're already over an hour into this. Hornets, Wizards. We had to go to the conference standings to come up with anything, and the Hornets had a slight edge based on the conference records. It was that the Hornets could get that big 23. Today's a super 23 day. What's up, Busy?
Hey, how's it going, Seth?
It's going well, thanks.
I just want to point out a couple of things. First off, the Philly game. I don't know if you noticed, something really weird happened on that Philly game last game they played. Do you know?
Was that Wednesday? I'm going back to what day that was. The Bulls game. Okay, what happened?
Yes. There was 5 seconds left in the game, and there was some sort of error with a clock shot. With a clock. 0.5 seconds in the game. 0.5. So, for some reason, they thought one of the players deflected the ball, and the clock ran out. So the referees were reviewing the play. All the players headed to the locker room. So they did a redo on the game, and they called all the players back to do the 0.5 seconds again, a redo.
Huh.
Yes. And I mean, like 0.5 seconds, realistically, can you really get a shot off in 0.5 seconds?
0.5?
I just 0.5.
Yeah.
Second, 0.5.
I think I've heard him say before that you need like about that much time to possibly get a shot off. So I think that's the minimum. But yeah, that's very, very, very difficult. It'd have to be like a volleyball volley.
I just thought, that was kind of a bit comical. They call all the players back in to get the Philly another chance.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yeah. Also, I noticed for that OKC game, Thunder, they're coming off a back-to-back. They played
Blazers. They played the Blazers, right?
Mm-hmm. So they came from the overtime game, and they're playing back-to-back against the Clippers.
Right.
The Clippers, the last time the Clippers played was like 4 days ago, March 4th, which is weird.
Right.
And they played they played LA, and then the LA Lakers they played, which is considered a kind of away game, but they both play in the same stadium.
Right.
Isn't that funny?
So they've been resting up.
Yes, exactly. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's kind of a little, and they travel all the way from Portland to LA, so it's back-to-back for OKC. And that's why I think the line is about 2.5. But I just want to point that out there.
Yeah, great observations. I appreciate it. Thanks, Izzy. All right. Bye. Take care, man. Okay, so let's review this again. I'd probably stay away from this Wizards-Hornets game. The Hornets can get their 23rd conference win. The thing is, the Wizards can get their 19th conference win on the 67th day of the year. There's not a real strong riddle here. There was something actually about the division too, though, wasn't there actually? Hold on. There was something about the division that favored Charlotte. These teams are in the same division, and if the Wizards lost, they would fall to 6 and 7 in the division on the 67th day of the year. North Carolina, where the game is, equals 67. So honestly, I mean, if you want to take a stab at it, I'd favor the Hornets, but I'm not crazy about it. I'd say their riddle's a little bit better, but just the fact that the Wizards could get the 19th win in the conference on the 67th day of the year in North Carolina, I mean, that's there too. So Hornets probably got the better riddle, plus they're at home, which always increases the odds. But sometimes it just takes one little thing on the other side. Magic Mavericks. It's the 61st series game. 61's the 18th prime. Magic can get the 18th home win. And again, Mavericks is 61, the 18th prime. I believe the caller earlier, was it for this? No, it was something else. But that would also give the Mavericks their 38th loss on 3-8. Oh, that's what was pointed out. Florida's 38, and Florida's the 27th state. So if you want to ever find out what state is, just write states in order of statehood. That'll pull it up and give you the list of the states right here. And just to verify, yeah, caller's right. Florida established March 3rd as the 27th state. I'll often talk about how Oregon's the 33rd state. Anyway, so I do think that those things do matter. I mean, Oregon, the Blazers, they participate in a lot of 33 rituals, but Magic do have the better narrative here. They probably get it done against the Mavericks. Heat, Cavs. Heat, Cavs. 50-date numerology. Cavs can get the 50th loss. Heat equals 16. They can stay at 16 wins against the Heat. The date numerology is becoming more consistent in the NBA. 2 days ago, it didn't seem to matter, but for more than a week now, it's become more consistent. The only thing that worries me about this game is the Heat could get their 19th loss on the 67th day of the year. It's the one concern. But I'm thinking the date numerology, 50, Heat 16, I'm thinking that makes sense right there. Stay at 16 wins, get the 50th loss. Pistons, Bulls. These teams play each other back-to-back. So their next 2 games are against each other. They play again Sunday. This is the problem. Bulls equals 33 and 12. Pistons could get the 33rd win tonight, or they could stay at 12. Bulls 12, the game's in Chicago. Chicago's 37, the 12th prime. Today's date, the 67th day of the year, the 19th prime. Pistons could get the 19th away loss. But look here, the Bulls could also stay on 19 wins total on the 67th day of the year. Plus, this is going to be their 67th game. If they lost, they'd stay at 19 wins and 8 home wins. 19's the 8th prime as well. So it makes things tough because they play each other back-to-back, and it makes it tough because they both have a 19. Caller pointed out that the Pistons play the Bulls on Sunday. What's interesting about Sunday is Sunday has the gematria of 33 as well. So is that the better day for Detroit to get the 33rd win on Sunday against the Bulls? I really think the smartest thing to do here is watch this game, and then we very well get a free pick with the next matchup of these teams. Because, again, the 19 could truly go either way. In light of it being the Bulls' 67th game, you know, it makes me want to think, like, yeah, maybe they are the team more likely to stay at 19 rather than the Pistons getting the 19th loss here. But still, there's a risk, and we just said why. So, buyer beware. 76ers Rockets. Today's date has the really strong 23 connection. 23, the 9th prime with a Rockets win. They're 23-9 at home. The Rockets would also get their 18th non-conference win on ESPN, the 18 network. And I think there was something else about a game down the road. What did we say earlier about there was one other thing that we liked about the Rockets. Well, I'm not sure if that was the point we made. I feel like it was something else. But if the Rockets did win tonight's game and beat the Mavericks, Dallas is 41 as well. So they could get 40 tonight and then 41 against Dallas. So that makes sense too. There was one other thing that we covered earlier that we liked about the Rockets, but we do favor the Rockets in this game. The riddle for the 76ers, just to put it out there so you're not blind to what the riddle for the 76ers is the Rockets getting that 26th loss, because Philadelphia is 101, the 26th prime. That's the only thing I could really say against the Rockets, but the date numerology, 23, the 9th prime, we see that come together a lot. Gotta roll with that. So the one other thing for the 76ers is 76ers has gematria of 39 and 42. The Rockets could stay on 39 wins. The 76ers could pick up their 42nd, but I'm taking that date numerology. It's coming back. Jazz Grizzlies. This is a game I would stay away from personally. Grizzlies equals 59, the 17th prime. They could even it up at 17-17. Jazz, the 17 could go either way. But there is a nice riddle for the Jazz right on the surface. Memphis equals 38. The date's 3-8. Jazz could easily pick up their 38th win in this game. The other thing was that the conference records seem to favor the Grizzlies winning tonight. But too many times I've decided to go, okay, because the conference records are so perfect, I'm going to ignore this riddle right here. And I've been burned by that too many times, so I know better. That's why I would just stay away from this game. You can make a good argument either way. If you put a gun to my head, I'd say, okay, fine. I'm taking the Jazz because of the 38 thing, but still, I'd rather just not pick that game. Raptors, Pelicans. We pointed out Pelicans equals 47. The Raptors can get the 47th win. And the Raptors' schedule, they have their next game against the Heat, and then they play Cleveland. Cleveland equals 48. So I'm thinking the Raptors win tonight, lose to this Sunday game, and then get the 48th in Cleveland. I'll consider more when we – well, this is a Sunday game. I'll put out a video for the Sunday games, and I'll do some more evaluation here. But the reason I like that is because you have a 47 opponent here, and you have a 48 opponent here. And the reason for the Raptors to lose against the Heat is because Heat equals 20. If the Raptors win tonight, they can get their 20th loss against the Heat and stay at 20 away wins against the Heat. So I think that is the way it will be. The argument for the Pelicans is they could get their 19th win on the 67th day of the year. It is there, but just as easily the Raptors could stay at 19 overall losses. Pelicans could get that 38th loss on 3-8. Warriors, their next game is against Phoenix. If they win tonight, they get 45. If they beat Phoenix, they get 46. So looking down the road, things look good for the Warriors to win tonight. Nuggets would pick up their 22nd loss in Oakland. Oakland 22. And Thunder Clippers, I'd avoid this game because the 19 can go either way. If the Thunder won, they'd get their 41st win. LA equals 41. Los Angeles also equals 53, the 16th prime. Hello, Super Bowl 53 with 16 points. And the Boston Celtics and Oklahoma City Thunder were part of that ritual the day of the Super Bowl. The Clippers, again, they can get the 19th win on the 67th day. And Clippers can also get the 38th win on 3-8. The thing about the Thunder losing, what we pointed out, is if they lost tonight, they'd get their 17th away loss. And their next game is against the Jazz. And again, Jazz is 18 in both reduction ciphers. So it's possible the Thunder could lose 2 in a row. And then they'd have an 18-18 away record. Put that up here again. So there it is right there. And that game's on March 11th, 1-1-3, Utah Jazz 1-1-3, the only team in the league that sums to that. So I'll let you guys make your decisions. We'll review this one more time at the end, but let's get into college basketball. We're running behind schedule here. All right, we only got 3 college basketball games. So again, date numerology, 50, 23, the numbers that really matter. 30 could matter in the series record. 67th day of the year, the 19th prime. Buffalo, the 19 seed against Bowling Green. Bowling Green, what are they? The Falcons? Okay. And Buffalo's the Bulls. Bowling Green could stay on 12 wins against the Bulls. That's the first thing jumping out. Bulls is 12. Bulls is also 21 if you use the rule for the S. That could be the upset. Bowling Green could get the 21st win. They're the Falcons, right? Bowling Green Falcons. Okay. Check that real quick. Falcons. Notice it's Bowling Green's 31st game tonight. That's the 11th prime. They could get their 11th loss in the 31st game as well. Bowling Green Falcons and Buffalo Bulls. The over-under is at 163. That's the 38th prime. Falcons is 38. Let me see. "39th game tonight, tied 19-19. How about that? Huh. There's not enough reason to believe that Buffalo would stay at 27 wins in Buffalo. Again, they could easily stay on 12 wins against the Bulls and pick up their 11th loss in their 31st game. So I'd probably just shy away from it. Buffalo's not a great payout and not a strong enough narrative to think the upset's there. Okay, Miami, Virginia Tech. Well, I see the magic 23 right there. And V is 22, T is 20, 42. 2, 3, and 7 is the prime factorization of 42. So I'm thinking Miami's looking good for that 23 win. Let's look more carefully here. Virginia Tech, though, 23 and 7. That's making too much sense. "38th game. Florida is 38. Ah, look at that, though. There's something interesting. So Virginia Tech's going for their 16th win, but Miami's going for 23 in the 38th game. That makes things more interesting. Let's check it here. Miami. Hurricanes. Hurricanes 53, the 16th prime. Are they the Hokies? I always forget. Yeah, they're the Hokies. Okay, Hokies. Hokies 67, the 19th prime. Virginia Tech. Yeah, the only thing that concerns me there is Miami could get the 23rd series win. But again, the immediate season record's been trumping the series records. So if I got to take a 23, this is the more likely 23. The fact that Virginia Tech's a considerable favorite and probably not a great payout, it's probably another game maybe to just shy away from, just because Miami does have that chance at the 23rd series win. I imagine Virginia Tech wins. Again, we explained why 2-3-7 makes a lot of sense with the VT, what they're known for. But I don't see anything to give complete confidence there. Hokies one more time. Okay. Minnesota, Maryland. Today has the 50-date numerology. I see that if Maryland wins, they're 22-9, which is a bit like 229, the 50th prime. That's one thing standing out. Minnesota could stay on 19 wins on the 67th day of the year. 67, the 19th prime. Maryland Terrapins, Minnesota Golden Gophers. Okay, let's see what the series record is real quick. Oh. 11th game, Maryland is at 8 wins. Minnesota is at 2. Now, what's so interesting about that is Minnesota is 38, right? If they won today, the series would be 3-8 on March 8th. And let me see, that would make them 10-10. Today's the 67th day of the year. 67 is the 19th prime. That's the one that's really hanging out. 19 is the 8th prime. That would keep Maryland at 8 series wins and give them their 8th loss in the Big Ten. Let's run the Gematria some more. Minnesota Gophers. Golden Gophers is 73, the 21st prime. Could they keep them at 21 wins? That's another question. Minnesota Golden Gophers. Maryland. Terrapins. Maryland Terrapins. The 8-3 thing is interesting. It's a weaker riddle though than the date numerology. Minnesota staying at 67 or at 19 wins on the 67th day. More likely, and Maryland getting that 22nd win, becoming 22-9, which is a bit like 229, the 50th prime on the 50-day numerology. That is the stronger riddle. Again, another day where unfortunately college basketball is just a little bit too tight for comfort. Hold off till tomorrow and we'll have a bigger batch of games. Let's see. NHL. Oh, we want this day. Okay. So Minnesota's got that combo, that 33-74. Man, they love that one. Let's see. It's going to be the Panthers' 68th game, and they got 68 points. Let's see. All right, so Minnesota versus the Panthers. 25th game. Minnesota going for the 18th win. Panthers going for 4+2. The 7th all-time win. So Minnesota's dominated that series, huh? All right. You know what? I do realize right away, Florida Panthers is 76. Florida Panthers, 76. I think we talked about that yesterday, too. The fact that if the Wild won, they could get their 76 points over the Florida Panthers. And they've done historically very well against this team. So that makes a lot of sense just right on the surface, getting those 76 points against this team. Okay. Wild. Does that factor in anything? Minnesota Wild. Yeah, I'm just gonna say I like the Wild there. Got to go with the Wild on that one. 76 points against the perfect opponent. Capitals Devils. Capitals Devils. Let's see. Capitals. Not seeing it. Washington. Devils. Jersey Devils. I don't see anything screaming out there. Washington Capitals. $213th game. Washington has 109 wins, and the Devils have 90. You know, something that we haven't been doing that maybe we should is Washington, if you use the rule that's well, I know I always look at it this way. I usually forget to look at it this way, and I shouldn't do that. Washington does equal 59 if you use the rule for the 19th letter, and I'm just seeing that the Devils could stay on 59 points against Washington. It's not a great riddle, but it's the only thing that's really standing out about this game. So maybe just not a great pick there, but the one thought is maybe the Devils stay on 59 points against Washington. I'd be cautious there, though. Oh, we only have 4 games to look at. Okay, Jets, Hurricanes. Jets, Hurricanes. Carolina's 37. They could get their 37th win at home. I'm noticing that the Jets lost in overtime. They'd have 83 points. Winnipeg Jets. Jets. If you want to get mathematical, if the Hurricanes won, they'd have 81 points, square root of 9 over the Jets. I mean, that's not normally how we do it, but just observing that. The Jets could also, either team could stay on the 23 losses on this very 23 date. That's the problem there with that. Well, they could both stay on that number, actually, if the game went to overtime. If the game went to overtime, this wouldn't move for either team. It would just go in the overtime loss column. Something's telling me the Jets are going to lose in overtime here. Carolina. Carolina getting that 37th win at home. Possible. Carolina Hurricanes. See what it is between these teams. '90th game. Winnipeg going for the 36th win. And Carolina, Carolina's at 50 on the 50-date numerology. Scares me a little bit. Winnipeg also has 83 points. If they lost, well, it wouldn't be in overtime, but if they lost in regulation, they'd stay on 83 points on this date. That can be written 8/3. I think Carolina has the better riddle here, but it's not a great riddle. The only thing that scares me about Carolina is they're already at 50 series wins, and here we are on the 50-date numerology. They could stay there. So, yeah, I'm not real crazy about that game either. Okay, Canadians, Ducks. So Anaheim's 33. They're at their 33rd loss. They could get their 34th against the Canadians. Canadians is 34. Canadians 34. So number 34. Let's see. Canadians. Trying to miss anything. Okay, nothing. Check this the other way. Anaheim. We'll go back over these NHL games and just look at who the upcoming opponent is, just in case it gives us better lead. Anaheim Ducks. All right, let's see what head-to-head is. "34th game, Canadians 34. They can get their 34th loss. Canadians going for the 17th win. Ducks' next loss is the 16th. Or wait, so the Canadians going for the 17th win. Ducks going for the 16th win all time. I think that's a good sign. 34th game, Canadians 34, 34th loss for the Ducks. So I think Canadians got a pretty good read there. Let's just look ahead for each of these games. They play Detroit next. So the Canadians play Detroit next. This is one of those things. Detroit does equal 37. Do they lose tonight and get their 37th win against Detroit, or do they walk into Detroit with 37 wins, which does happen? You know, Pix Money was on the phone. He'd say, "Oh, they're definitely walking in with 37." In this case, I would agree with him because it makes sense for the Ducks to get that 34th loss. Let's see who. And then look at that. Then they play the Islanders that have the 38 connection. So I think we'll be able to get at least 2 of the next 3 games right for the Canadians, the way this works out with their schedule. So we got some nice upcoming games for the Canadians. Canadians have been a good team for us overall, too. They've dished out a lot of 34. Ducks play the Kings next. Now, the only scare about that is Kings have that connection to 33. They play the Predators. Nashville. Let me just see real quick. Los Angeles. Kings. Los Angeles Kings 61. They could go into that Kings game with 61 points. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the Canadians. The Canadians, we've seen them dishing out the 34. That's been one of those consistent patterns. Canadians look good. The Wild 76 points. That looks good because Florida Panthers are 76. Let's just see who they play though. Oh, and then they play the Sharks. So then they'd go into the Sharks with 76 points. Okay, so I do like the Wild. The Wild are making sense. Panthers schedule. They play the Red Wings next. Detroit. Nothing screaming out there, but that's okay. Devils, who do they play? Play the Rangers next. So the thing about that is New York. New York's 33. The way the Devils could stay on 33 losses to face New York next is by winning this game or with an overtime loss. That's the one trick about hockey. Rangers. Who do the Capitals play next? Capitals, Jets. Capitals play Winnipeg next. Yeah, that's not helpful, unfortunately. The Jets play the Capitals next. Capitals. 81. Shoot. Nashville Predators tomorrow. None of that's too great. Okay, so I think the Wild are a good pick tonight. 76 points. Florida Panthers 76. And then they face the Sharks next. Sharks have the 76, so they'd go in with the right amount of points to face the Sharks. Canadians can dish out that 34th loss. Ducks 34. And then it was something about who the Canadians play next. They can go into Detroit with 37 wins. Okay, so and then also the Ducks' next opponent is the Los Angeles Kings, which equals 61. So I think in the NHL, I'm taking the Wild and the Canadians. They seem to be pretty solid picks tonight. I like that. NBA, let's go back to the NBA. NBA, we have some decent reads tonight. We got some decent reads. So Hornets Wizards, I think it's maybe not the greatest game, but the Hornets do have a few advantages. It's mostly the conference records. The biggest riddle of all seems to be the Wizards falling to 6-7 in the division on the 67th day of the year in North Carolina. North Carolina 67. The one thing was, though, that the Wizards could get their 19th conference win, if I'm not mistaken. 67 is the 19th prime. That's the danger. Still say the Hornets have the better riddle, but maybe not the greatest pick. But if you're in some type of pick 'em where you pick each game each day, I'd favor the Hornets. Mavericks and Magic. 61st series game. Mavericks equals 61. That is the 18th prime, however, and the Magic can get that 18th home win. The Mavericks with a loss would stay at 27 wins and pick up their 38th loss in Florida. Florida 38. Florida's also the 27th state. They could get their 27th away loss. So, again, it's not a game I'm crazy about, but I definitely favor the Magic here. Cavs Heat. 50-date numerology. Cavs can get the 50th loss. And Heat equals 16. They can stay at 16 wins against the Heat. The only scare for this game is 67th day of the year, 19th prime. If the Heat got upset, they'd get their 19th loss. And the only other thing I could see for the Cavs is if it's some sort of King James ritual, because King James equals 35. These are LeBron's former teams. So I do imagine the Heat prevail, though, because the date numerology is there and staying at 16 wins against the Heat makes sense. Pistons, Bulls, another dicey game. Remember, these teams play each other back-to-back. Their next games are against each other Sunday. Bulls equals 33. Pistons could get the 33rd win today or tomorrow. I think if the Pistons lose this game, they'll definitely win the next one. The problem with this game for the Pistons is Bulls equals 12. It's in Chicago. Chicago equals 37, the 12th prime. Did you guys see that story yesterday about the kicker for Chicago blew it? I need to make a video on that. Anyway, 37, the 12th prime. Pistons very easily could stay on 12 away wins in this game with a loss. They'd also get their 19th loss on the 67th day of the year, 67, the 19th prime. But then again, look at the Bulls. They could stay on 19 on the 67th day. Plus, it's their 67th game of the season. And they could also stay at 8 home wins, 19, the 8th prime. So what I really want to see happen tonight is I want to see the Pistons lose. That's what I want to see, because then I know we got a free pick Sunday. Sunday also equals 33. But yeah, I mean, this game you could easily end up kicking yourself because the riddle is there both ways. 76ers Rockets. I like the Rockets here. It's because today has the strong 23-date numerology. 23 is the 9th prime. They can also get their 18th out-of-conference win on ESPN, ESPN 18. The Rockets' next game is against Dallas. Dallas equals 41. If they win this game and Dallas, they got 41 wins. So I'm riding with that. Jazz Grizzlies on the surface. Memphis equals 38. Jazz can pick up the 38th win on 3-8. That's probably what it will be. But if you look at the conference records, the Grizzlies have a strong riddle with the date numerology, and the Jazz have a strong riddle to lose. Again, conference records have not been as good at indicators as just looking at stuff like Memphis 38, March 8, 3-8. I mean, that's just right there on the surface. Jazz will probably win this game, but because the conference record is there, even though it's not as consistent, it still makes me hesitant. Grizzlies also equals 59, the 17th prime. With the win, they'd be 17-17 at home. Raptors, Pelicans. Raptors, I expect them to win 2 of their next 3 games. If they win tonight, they get their 47th. Pelicans equals 47. Their next game's against the Heat, the Chris Bosh series. Heat equals 20. So if the Raptors won this game, they'd be 47-19 and have 20 away wins. If they lost their next game to the Heat, they'd be 47-20 and stuck on 20 away wins. And then their next game's in Cleveland 48. So I'm thinking that's the way it's going to go for the Raptors. Win tonight, lose Miami, win Cleveland. But we'll evaluate more of that Heat game because, again, you could make the argument that they win against Miami and then they go into Cleveland with 48 wins. But I do favor the Raptors here. Nuggets, Warriors. The reason I like the Warriors is because their next game's against Phoenix. Phoenix equals 46. Warriors get 45 tonight. They get 46 against Phoenix. And Thunder coming off back-to-back game, and like the caller said, they did play an overtime game. That the narrative's there that they're on a road trip. They just had a long game last night. They're tired. Here's what it is though: LA equals 41. Good day to get the 19th away win. Los Angeles equals 53, the 16th prime. The Thunder's record could make a lot of sense with the win. That said, Clippers can also get that 19th win, and it's March 8th, 3-8. So I'd probably shy away from that game too. I'd take Warriors tonight. I'd take Raptors. I'd take Rockets. These other games that we touched on, I'll let you think about it. Maybe you want to do a little bit more homework. You want to look at the coaches. You want to look from a few more angles. I mean, so gave you the edge on which way I think it'll go in those games, but still, a lot of those are tight narratives. And honestly, in college basketball, at least for ranked games, I would just cruise right over them today. I'd cruise right over them. I don't think there's any really great picks in college basketball. Virginia Tech probably gets the 23 on the 23 date numerology, but the scare there was Miami could get the 23rd series win. Maryland seems to have the better narrative, especially with Minnesota staying at 19 series wins on the 67th day of the year. But the thing was, in the series record, again, there was a riddle with Minnesota. They could make the series 3-8. Minnesota equals 38. Today's 3-8. So when I see those things, even though they're not as likely to hit, I mean, there's still the possibility, and it makes me worry. And Buffalo probably gets it done against Bowling Green, but big favorite. Falcons does equal 38. The date's 3-8. The over-under's at 163, the 38th prime. Is that a sign that the Falcons have a shot, the Bowling Green Falcons? Again, Bulls equals 12 and 21. Do they stay at 12 wins in the conference or pick up their 21st? Again, it's the 31st game. That's the 11th prime. They probably do get that 11th loss. So, NHL, just one more time. I think we got 2 good picks tonight. I think the Wild are a good pick. Florida Panthers, 76 points. Canadians dish it out to the Ducks. Canadians 34. Ducks pick up the 34th loss. Ducks' next game is against the Los Angeles Kings, which equals 61. So these other 2 NHL games I do not like. I do not like those ones. We'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. That is the review. tonight I will put out a video for the early games tomorrow in sports, and then Saturday we'll start at the same time we always do, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern. Appreciate all of you. And again, if you guys want to continue the conversation about games, I recommend clicking on this video after it's over and leaving comments beneath the video. That way, because the trolls aren't going there. The trolls are clouding up the other areas. What is that? Must be this. Okay. You can always leave comments below the video after the live stream's over. And I think that's a good place to leave juicy tidbits if you come across them. But I think we got some good picks today. So be back this evening and then tomorrow for the live stream. Until next time, Truth Seeker.